environment. Kinds of approvals you must obtain before starting building construction in Lagos State. Do you know where and how to get these approvals? For answers to these and many more, tune in to Build Right, a 45-minute program on the activities of the Lagos State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development and its agencies. Build Right is aimed at making Lagos sustainable, resilient, and attractive to business through community regeneration and inclusive physical planning. Join us every Thursday, 9:15 to 10 a.m. on Lagos Traffic Radio, 96.1 FM as we take physical planning and urban development to the next level. Tune in and listen to government officials and other relevant professionals in the built environment as they bring new insights and latest trends in the physical planning and urban development space. Thursdays, 9:15 a.m. is the date. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM is the station. Build Right is brought to you by the Office of the Special Advisor, EGIS, and Urban Development in partnership with Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Build Right for a sustainable Lagos.
Lagos, of course, when you hear this tune, you should know that it's time for us to delve into best practices in the built environment. Build Right is the program on Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. And what we do on this program is to, educate you on the proper way to go about, especially when it has to do with erecting structures in Lagos State. Of course, there are laid down rules and regulations you need to follow, their processes, and that's why we have this program, is to enlighten you, educate you, and give you the right information that you need, especially when you're delving into the building process in Lagos State. Welcome. My name is Mike James, standing in for Victor Terry. And today, of course, we shall be situating the place of district officers in the built environment. We've been on this campaign for some time, and of course it's all about letting you in on the duties of this district officers, letting you understand why they're there and what they do basically. So we shall be connecting with representatives from LASPA and LABCA, but first let's go on a break. We'll take a message from our partners. And of course, when we return, we shall begin the conversations. My guests are here in the studio already seated. Stay here with us.
Dear Lagosians, the vision of making Lagos a sustainable and resilient state through community regeneration and inclusive physical planning begins with building right. We all have a role to play in achieving this vision in line with the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law of 2019 as amended. Do you know that before buying a land or building on it, you must check for the permissible use from the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development? Do you know that you must obtain a planning permit and authorization to commence the construction of your building? Do you also know that you require state certification and certificate of completion for building construction in Lagos State? Estate developers must obtain layout approval before developing their estates and obtain full planning permits after the expiration of a provisional planning permit. Their Lagosians, do not carry out unapproved renovation, remodeling, or Do not break the seal on an enforced property. Do not obtain fake planning permits and do not abandon uncompleted buildings. Do not break the law. Build right in accordance with the State Operative Development Plans. Let's work together to make Lagos a sustainable smart city of choice. For more information, download the Lagos State MPP UD app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, Àjùmọ̀ṣe Announcer, Lagos State Government.
Lagos, welcome back to the show. It's Build Right here on Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Quick traffic update. Let's go on to the latest. Okay, so the incident that occurred along the Kara-Otedola corridor, basically Kara Bridge in Mowe Ibafo, an accident involving a crane and 6 other vehicles. We have the men of the FRSC very much on ground doing the needful. We understand now that traffic has backed up beyond Otedola Bridge, but of course for alarm, all hands are on deck to restore normalcy to that stretch of the road. That's on the outward Lagos. That's the outward section of the Lagos-Badon Expressway. So be on the lookout. And from the Mount of Corridor, we have Loma officials, the Loma intervention truck evacuating refuse at mile 12 to Koshofe on the main carriageway in Ward K2. So if our traffic is on the Mount Hall Bridge, look out as a result of that. But it will be done in no time. Let's keep our fingers crossed as well. Okay, so we also have a flat body truck loaded with iron coal at Agric Bus. So we're keeping an eye on that one. That's along the Janiki corridor. It's not affecting the flow of traffic, I understand, but no cause for alarm. More news will be coming in during the course of the program. Build Right is the show. We're situated in the place of district officers in the built environment. My guests are engineer Odumola Oluwabamigbe Olasukomi. Very good. He's Assistant Chief Civil Engineer with LAPCA and is head Lekki Phase 1 District Office. Yes. And also have Town Planner Roy Lainde Hakim, District Officer at Lekki Phase 1 District Office. Good to have both of you in the studio this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I would like you to move closer to the microphone. So, okay, so let's begin with the amnesty program. How is it faring so far as within the Lekki corridor?
Thank you very much. Firstly, I'd like the people to know what the amnesty program is all about. Lagos State government is given a waiver for payment of penalties because statutorily you're expected to pay penalty for all structures you have built without an approval. But the state government has found it, a worthy decision that since May, people should come in for their approvals for structures that has been built, for them not to pay that statutory penalty. This is to ease the process of obtaining
Sort of a waiver.
a waiver.
Yeah.
It is a waiver, and the program has been successful. In fact, it got so successful that this is the second time government is extending the amnesty because people kept on coming, applying, and those who are unable to meet up with the deadline, the government is done the second time to extend the waiver. So it's a.
So are people turning out en masse?
They turn out en masse. I mean, when you look at the data, the number of approvals granted prior to the amnesty, and then the numbers we are granting right now, the numbers of application is showing that is indeed the right standard.
So what do you have to say to that person who is yet to key into this, new development?
The thing I'll say is, it's going to be a kind of regrettable thing to do for you not to key into this amnesty. Number one, the penalty should be ×4 of your assessment, and that's what government is waived for you. Even the process is being, streamlined. That comes since people is built, let them have this process easier. Let them bring in what they have, and then we look at how they go about it and have their approval. So for anybody who's not keyed into this, I think the person is just taking too much a risk to do. Too much a risk.
All right, Lagos, Nigeria. Build Right is the show. If you're just joining, you're welcome. So let's talk about your core responsibility as a district officer at LAPCA. What are your, last by, beg your pardon, what are your core responsibilities?
As a district officer, you're like the face of government within that district. It's called Lekki 1. And what you're expected to do is you have to be the point person, the go-to person for the coordination of planning permits process in that place. And beyond planning permit to ensure the proper development, orderly development of that area. So anyone who wants building plan approval now, they go to that to the go-to person at that district, any district, because we have district offices all across the local government area in the state. So depending on where you are, go to the district office in that place, ask of the district officer, because some people will just go and in the process they're falling victim of touting and what have you. Insist you want to see the district officer. That is the person saddled with the responsibility of attending to you, advising you, and processing your planning permit process.
So what kind of enforcement do you carry out? Before I talk to Engineer Odola, what kind of enforcement do you carry out?
Of course, we ensure everybody has a seamless process in obtaining their planning permits. And when I say seamless process, back in the days you have people saying they're having their approval process taking months, taking years. The moment you see the district officer now, it's his duty, it's his responsibility to ensure you have an easy process to you obtaining your. And when it comes to enforcement, that is ensuring compliance, that is at the doorstep of Lagos State Building Control Agency. But for us, yes, but for us, you must have your approval, you must build in conformity with the law.
All right, so over to you, Engineer Odola Oluwabamigbe. You are from LABCA. Yes, and so take us through your core responsibility. What's your mandate?
The core responsibility of LABCA official in the district is to monitor buildings in the district. That's an existing building. If we identify existing building that does not have approval, we serve notices in the district so as to aid the progress of this new waiver that has been granted. Because a lot of people is not even aware. Despite the fact that we have it being here on radios, but if you don't give them notices, they might not have any prior information about it. So we'll educate them that they should key into what the government is doing presently. We serve them notices so that we direct them to where they can process their approval, and then we monitor ongoing construction, identify distressed building within our district area. So we stage construction that is ongoing too. There are some illegal construction that we identify and we bring it to the notice of the agency so that we compel them to approach LASPA and process their approvals.
So that's part of the enforcement you carry out at LABCA. So let's talk about your locality now. Which areas do you cover under Lekki Phase 1?
I'm covering Ibeju Lekki district area. That's where I'm covering.
Okay. How about you, Roy?
Well, I like to say that calling it Lekki Phase 1, the district is actually Lekki 1.
Okay, Lekki 1.
Lekki 1 and Lekki 2, because Lekki Phase 1 will be referring to the Lekki Peninsula Residential Scheme 1. So it's actually Lekki 1. And Lekki 1 starts from the junction of Eleko,
very good.
Down to Epe, and then inward that Eleko road to where you have that canal.
So that's from the junction of Eleko down to Epe Road.
Down to Epe.
So these are the areas you cover, basically. All right, Lagos. Let's begin to connect with our listeners out there, because I can see messages are flowing in already. If you're listening, you too can connect with us. You want to, ask questions. You have my guests here, district officers from LASPA and LABCA here in the studio. 0915-387-7127. You can reach out to us via WhatsApp on 0809-912-0777. That is 0809-912-0777. 0777. All right, so I have this one here popping in, and it says from Sukomi, and says, how has the decentralization of building and planning permit approvals impacted the overall efficiency of the approval process?
I just got to say that's one of the best decisions government taking, because before now the approval process has got to go through the district and then to the headquarters, and you can imagine the whole volume having to go centrally to one or two persons. But now it's been decentralized and it's made the approval process easier and faster, and that's why we have the mandatory 10-day ultimatum that buildings should be approved within the 10 days.
Absolutely. And over to you, Engineer Oduola. Drawing that inference from what you said, what is your assessment of Lagosians in terms of compliance with statutory acquisition of authorization before commencement of construction?
A lot of people are aware of authorization before commencement of construction now. And once they get their permit, behind the flyers, it's well spelled out there.
Okay.
That you should approach LAPCA for authorization. So it's a must that you should approach LAPCA for authorization.
But do we still have people who, just ignore? And
some are ignorant of it, because once they get their permit, they just think
that's all. Okay, they have a permit and that's it.
Some are ignorant, but I think the LASPA official do educate them that they should approach LAPCA.
Okay, so
before commencement of.
What I want you to do for me now is, I want you to educate my listeners now on the, essence of having that, authorization. But first, what's authorization to someone out there who doesn't know about it?
Authorization is you are seeking permit to commence your construction. Yeah. So, and the agency will be aware of your development, because when you are processing your approval, you are making two payments. As you pay the assessment and stage. The stage is for LAPCA. The staging is for LAPCA to be monitoring your project as it progresses.
As it progresses.
Yeah,
but first, before I begin any sort of development on my piece of land, Roy, I want you to take us through the process, because I understand we need to, work with LASPA and LAPCA. Yeah, so take us through the process in the first place before I let Engineer Oduola, continue with the education.
Yeah, the moment you acquire your land, certainly you will have a purpose to which you want to put that land.
Yes.
Like say you want to build a residential building or commercial building, any form of building you want to do. So you're expected to get your architect to make the design for you.
Okay, Roy, I'm afraid I'm going to have to hold you on here so we can take this report coming in. Raphael Jeremiel joining us. Good morning to you.
Yeah, fine to you, Mike.
Yes, very good one to you. Real quick, Raphael, give us the information.
Yeah, the fifth of the area reported multiple accidents at Kara Bridge. I want to confirm to you that the accident might have been cleared off at this moment or by now, because getting there, I noticed that both in and out of Kara Bridge very, very fine. There's nothing to be worried about. There's no impediment.
Okay.
In fact, beyond the Kara Bridge, the long bridge, we have it very good.
Oh, very good.
Except the most of activities at Bega in and out of Bega and U-turn at that Kara Bridge. Apart from that, we have no issue. The road is very, very free at this moment.
It's free now. Okay.
Getting there to connect Oshedola as well. Both sides is very, very good. Down to Secretariat, you don't have any.
All right.
Like I'm still standing by. If anything come up again, Raphael Jeremy will get back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Raphael Jeremiel. All right, Lagos, so that's one of our motorbike live reporters giving us the latest. Remember, we've been, keeping an eye on the situation on Kara Bridge, where we recorded an accident involving a crane and 6 other vehicles, where it's confirming to us now that all the vehicles involved have been evacuated. So there's free flow of traffic in and out of the Kara corridor for those heading out of Lagos and for those, coming inward Lagos. All right, then, Build Writers, the show, Lagos. I have my guests. We're still here having a conversation. Engineer Oduola Bamigbe Olasukomi is Assistant Chief Civil Engineer with LABCA and also head Lekki 1 District Office. So with the face. All right, Tom Planner Roy here. All smiles. Laindi Hakim, District Officer at Lekki 1 from LASPA. All right, and so we're looking at that process, but it looks like the messages are trooping in. Okay, let's see if we can take this one. This one says, hello, LTR. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to... Okay, it says, this from Tolu now. Tolu says, good morning. How does your agency ensure consistency in permit approvals across different district offices?
Well, to start with, all the district officers you have are carefully selected. They are constantly meeting and they are also constantly trained. So for every of their action, it is guided by regulation, it's guided by policy. So it's not something you want to do at will. No. So for all of these, there are measures put in place to ensure that consistency all across board. What you have to do. We're guided by regulation. The policies are there, and there's constant meeting and monitoring.
Okay, so let's continue that conversation on, the building process now. So I've acquired the land. I already know what I want to erect, what kind of structure, what it's meant for, whether it's commercial or residential. And I've gone to my architect. He's done the architectural drawing. So what do I do next? Do I just call builders to come and start building? So what's the next process? I'll take my listeners through.
All right, so having gotten your architectural drawing, you have other drawings you need to also do, depending on the type of structure. For instance, you may need your structural drawing if you're going above just the bungalow.
Okay.
If you're doing other uses, 2 or more than 2 floors, you need your electrical and mechanical drawings. So once you have all those drawings, then you have your letter of supervision and calculation sheet, which will come with the structural design.
Okay.
Then you have to have what we call LUPA, Land Use Planning and Analysis reports. That report is to guide us, on the happenings around that proposed site, because that site is not standing in isolation. So we must know what is happening around it. And then you may also need what we call PPT, or Fiscal Planning Technical Reports. For instance, if you're making
so how do we get all these documents you have mentioned?
Now you have professionals that are for them. For instance,
at what point should I come to LASPA in the first place? Yes, let's focus on that.
Okay, the point where you have to come to LASPA, once you have your architectural drawing, your title and your survey, you have to approach LASPA.
So what do I get from LASPA?
What you get from LASPA to start with, they are going to make you a site visit to analyze your site in conformity with what you want to do.
Okay.
For instance, if somebody's got a nursery school beside you and then you want to build a market, you should know those are not compatible uses.
Okay, so LASPA will tell me all
they
these.
Will come to your site for site inspection. After site inspection, they do you an assessment of what the token you pay to government as processing fee.
All right.
And then once you make payment of all that, they have to collect all your drawings, all your titles, and the payment evidence to process your permit. So the end result you get from LASPA is physical planning permit, or we call it development permit. That is, what you want to do conforms with all the layout.
And what if it doesn't confirm, or the kind of structure I want to erect? What if LASPA does not agree with that kind of structure?
That is why before you come in, before you make payment, it would have been assessed.
Okay.
Your site inspection is to ensure that it conforms. You understand me?
Before I can get a permit from LASPA.
And another thing is, the moment you present your survey plan, it would have been charted.
Okay.
They chart it and yes, this conforms.
The surveyors would have done that.
The charting officer.
Okay, so I haven't gotten my permit now. That's where Engineer Odola comes in, right? Okay, so talk to us. What's the next step?
From once you have your architectural drawing, we come in even prior to you getting the approval itself too, because we're going to vet all your drawings.
Okay.
So after we've approved the drawings, you can approach LASPA for the permit. So after the permit, you write a letter requesting for authorization from LABCA. So you submit your permits that you got from LASPA. You approach the divisional head of LABCA, Lagos State Building Control Agency at Ikeja, for you to process your authorization. So once you submit your application, they will visit the site to check if you've started construction or not. So after checking, there are some other documents you're going to bring in. You bring your letter of supervision from a registered engineer. That's if it's just 2 floors, that's ground and first. But if it's commercial or is above 2 floors, that's ground, first, second. You're going to submit insurance, letter of structural stability, then builder's documents,
Right.
the soil test, and the drawings you got from the permit you got from
LASPA.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after that, the authorization will be granted for you to commence construction.
And I understand it doesn't end there, because even during the construction,
there's what we call stage certification.
Tell us about it.
Because we might not have a prior knowledge of when you want to carry out every stage of the
construction. Okay.
So you have to write a letter inviting us to come and stage your construction. So the stages are foundation, first the ground floor columns, the first floor,
right,
and it goes like that. So at each of those stages, you have to invite LABCA to come and
monitor, inspect.
Now, after your
authorization
authorization has been granted,
and you want to commence construction.
Commence construction.
Okay, let me bring in Roy here. We understand that usually developers believe that the process of obtaining a permit is just can be time wasting. And most of them would usually prefer to commence construction before applying for a permit. What's your authority doing to curtail such norm?
To start with, it's never an ideal thing to put the cart before the horse.
Right.
There's always a process to things, and once you can follow the process, you find out that your process becomes easier. Number one, it is statutory right now that you get your approval within 10 working days.
10 working days.
10 working days. And I can tell you, to the best of my knowledge, this has been very effective in the
Very effective now.
because even the authority is putting in place mechanism to punish officers who fail in this regard. Unfortunately, on the part of the applicant, a few of them are lacking behind, in things that will make this process to be
Okay, so in just a few words now, people seem to mix the two agencies, LASPA and LABCA. I want you to just, in a few words, clarify the difference there.
They are sister agencies.
Okay.
One is responsible for granting of permits for a proposed building or a building, and one is for monitoring compliance. Monitoring compliance to ensure that yes, what you've gotten your approval for is what you're building. You are building in accordance with the building code.
Right.
You're not shortchanging government. You're not trying to.
So that's the duty of LABCA.
So that's the duty of LABCA.
Well, we've had this conversation, and it's quite an interesting one, and I hope to have you guys, come up some other time on the program. But I must say a very big thank you for coming on board, Engineer Odunola and Roy Linde. Thank you so much. All right, then Lagos have been able to situate the place of district officers in the built environment. My guest, Engineer Odunola Oluwabamigbe Olasukomi, Assistant Chief Civil Engineer with LABCA and head Lekki 1 District Office. I've also had Town Planner Roy Linde Hakim, District Officer, Lekki 1 District Office. All right, then Build Rights will come your way again next week, Thursday, on behalf of my executive producer, Tayo Akunle. But you then have yourself a wonderful Thursday.
Dear Lagosians, the vision of making Lagos a sustainable and resilient state through community regeneration and inclusive